The Colonial pipeline is back up and running. Northwestern University journalist says that white people walking on sidewalks is racist. And we have an update on the US-Mexico border. And I have a lot to say about that. Welcome to the Bald Brad Show. Before we get into our lead story, please take a moment right now to support my channel by hitting that like button. It really does help the YouTube algorithm push my video out there to viewers who have not seen my content or my channel. And if you enjoy conservative talk shows like the Bald Brad Show, please make sure you hit the subscribe button, but also the bell notification button so you're notified whenever we go live, which is every Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And for our lead story of the day, it comes from our friends over at the Daily Wire. If you're not already a member, please go over and become a subscriber today. This is written by Emily Zanotti, and she titles it, "Crisis Ended, Colonial Pipeline Restarts Operations Following a Cyber Attack." Gasoline is reportedly flowing through the Colonial pipeline again following a cyber attack that forced its closure, leading to gas shortages along the pipeline's route from New Jersey to Texas. So I didn't comment on this. I don't even think I had a show that day up and loaded that was talking about this Colonial pipeline. It's a relatively new incident, but what happened was there was a group that ultimately held the Colonial pipeline at ransom or hostage by basically shutting down their system. And I want to point out, they don't only do it to companies like this. They've done it to a lot of school districts. They've done it to a lot of companies where, again, they'll lock the people out of their own system and say, hey, you need to pay us $25,000. It could be $100,000. It could be $25 million. It just depends. And they say, look, once you pay us this money, we'll go ahead and unlock everything for you and you can continue your business as normal. Now, my philosophy and my opinion on this is that you should never give in to these people because there's nothing stopping them from doing it again. For example, say they locked me out of my system and then they said, look, we want $25,000. I pay them $25,000. A year later, they're back locking me out again. Look, we want another $25,000 and we'll unlock you again, yada, yada, yada. So it's not worth paying these people for doing this. And so what some school districts are doing, some companies are doing, is they're just rerouting their system, or they're basically opting in a whole new system altogether and say, fine, you know what, you can keep that side. We'll go ahead and just start a new one. We'll upgrade it. We'll upgrade our security, and then we'll carry on, and you don't get any of our money. Now, that's not what I believe the Colonial pipeline did. It's not very specific if they did pay them or not. I don't think they did. But it goes on here to say Colonial Pipeline announced Wednesday that it has begun a restart of its operations and that gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel began flowing through the pipeline again around 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will still be several days before product delivery returns to normal, the company said in a statement issued Wednesday afternoon. And if you watch shows like ABL, Anthony Brian Logan, or other conservative shows, nobody thought that this was going to go on for weeks. Nobody thought this would go on for months. I think like the best estimate I saw was Anthony Brian Logan, ABL, said it would probably be fixed or kind of figured out by Friday, and then things would be fully up and running by Monday. And it seems that's going to be the case. It's only going to take us several days to get things back to normal. So when you're seeing people filling up like 8 5-gallon gasoline cans, one, that's extremely dangerous. And two, you just shouldn't do it because there's other people that need gas. You should just take as much as you need and then go on to the next person, especially when you're just dealing with gas. Food, I kind of get that idea. You want to make sure you have enough food for your family and they're fed. You want to take care of them. But gas, I mean, you can always walk, ride a bike, unless you work super far. Then you got to wake up early and ride your bike. But, you know, again, I'm laughing about it. I don't live on the East Coast anymore. If I was on the East Coast, I'd be extremely pissed about this. But there's nothing that you could do necessarily as a consumer, and you can't necessarily blame the supplier because, I mean, they got attacked. I mean, what are they going to do? It's not their fault. And then you have Joe Biden out here going, well, hey, man, pay the ransom. He literally told them to pay the ransom. That was his advice. The president of the United States telling people, hey, yeah, pay these bad people. Are you an idiot, man? But Joe doesn't know what's going on. Hey, man. Hey, come on, man. Pay the money, man. Pay the money. Where's my money, Brian? Pay the money. Where's my milk? Where's the milk? Like, the guy doesn't know what's going on. He gets lost in mid-sentence. Every time he speaks, even if he's on teleprompter, he's going off on random tangents. The dude, there's no way. If I'm wrong on that and this guy actually lasts 4 years without getting cognitively worse, I'd be mind blown. My mind would be blown if this guy lasts 4 years cognitively. It goes on to say Colonial will move as much gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel as it safely possibly can, and will continue to do so until markets return to normal, which is great news. So basically, look, they're going to pump this stuff in the best they freaking can to get things normal as best they can without, hurting the system, without hurting the pipeline and things like that. As the Daily Wire reported, a cyber attack forced the closure of the 5,500-mile pipeline, which moves more than 100 million gallons of fuel from Texas to New Jersey every day, which is nearly 50% of the fuel consumed on the East Coast. The closure caused gas shortages and skyrocketing fuel prices across the East Coast and into the Southeast, largely because of panic buying. And that's what I was talking about, where people were just filling up tons of freaking gasoline cans in the hopes that if there was a month-long shortage, that they would be a-okay. Now, again, all it took was a little bit of reading on our part as the American citizens to see that, look, they'll be up and running, they'll be okay, this isn't going to go on for months. But what you had was the media constantly pushing this shortage, skyrocketing fuel prices, we're all doomed, that you should, putting on this fear. And we saw examples of CNN doing this in the past because they had their own technical director, talk about how they promulgate fear. Fear sells. And so we're going to constantly push fear because that increases ratings. And so you see why the media is doing this, because it creates an uproar. But what we need to get used to, especially as conservatives, but even the American citizens, is we can't always look to the news for a just opinion and also a honest opinion on things, because they're going to manipulate it in some way, shape, or form, because it is a business and they're going to want views. They're going to want to make that feria. They're going to want to make that money. I'm learning my Spanish. Hey, you know what? With the border like this, now's a good time, folks. Now's a good time to learn some Espanol. Okay. That was a little bit of a joke, okay? Calm down. On Wednesday afternoon, 65% of gas stations in North Carolina, 44% of stations in Virginia, and 43% of stations in both Georgia and South Carolina were out of fuel. And this was according to gas prices website Gas Buddy. The Hill noted other states are reporting fewer shortfalls, with 16% of stations in Tennessee, 11% of stations in Florida and Maryland, and 7% of stations in Alabama say they were dry. In some places, gas prices jumped at a 7-year high. So gas prices through the roof. And look, that's economics, right? When there's a massive demand, that means prices are going to go up. When there's a lot of supply of it and not enough demand, you're going to ultimately have prices go down. So this is a great, I guess, learning opportunity for the left, who freaking can't wrap their mind around how economics and the economy and businesses work. But maybe this was a wake-up call for them to see that when you mess with companies and businesses, it looks like prices can go up. And if you don't mess with them and you let the free market work and you allow just a free flowing of fuel, maybe prices will go down. So again, more supply, the better, because the more you're supplying things, the cheaper that it should be over time. But, that is also dependent on some sort of externalities. But hey, good news, guys. Good news to almost end the week, or middle way through the week here. Crisis ended. Colonial Pipeline restarts operation. So all of you that watch my show on the East Coast, congratulations. You have your fuel back. It should be, guys, it should be good to go by next Monday. So when you go into work next week, you should be able to fill up your tank and be A-okay. And hopefully it stays that way. But in other crazy news, which I want to get to, Northwestern University journalist says even the way white people walk on sidewalks is racist. Yes, that's where we're at, folks. That is where the left is at. They're trying to find anything they can to attach to racism. The light on my light fixture here that's shining directly into my eyeballs, which is why I can't read sometimes, is like blinding me. It's white, so it's racist, right? There's some sort of systemic racism in it. My hat is red because, I'm conservative. Conservatives wear red, and somehow it's racist because of blood or some other crap, right? The color of my skin, I'm a white guy, so I must be racist, and, some sort of systemic racism, and my family probably owned slaves or something, blah, blah, blah. And the reason why I'm going like this is it's just tiring after a while, because milk was racist at some point. Cereal was racist at some point. My white walls around me are racist because of something. Maybe the old lead in it, people couldn't afford lead to paint their houses, so their houses had to be wood, and the termites rotted it out because of the weather, because they couldn't afford it, because of some sort of racism caused it. And now it's systemic, and that caused the housing problem because people couldn't afford paint and their house ended up rotting. So I'm making literally all this up, being facetious about it, but you get where I'm saying. It's so taxing and it's so crazy. But let's go ahead and pick this apart. I haven't read this yet, and so I'm excited. Northwestern University's student newspaper recently published an article that reportedly asserted that white people walk awkwardly on sidewalks. Oh, God. Because of internalized racism, according to a Wednesday report from Campus Reform. Oh, God. internalized racism based on just how people walk. They have nothing better to report on. And so this is the stuff they are reporting on. White people walk awkwardly on sidewalks, and they're just going to randomly attribute it to racism. Now, what I expect is going to happen here, I have a lot of consistent viewers. I've seen all my episodes and watch it pretty well, which I love, by the way. You guys let me know if I've been wrong on this. I think I've been pretty spot on and going, this is probably where the article is going to go, and being honest that I haven't read it before, and just, again, saying that this is what they're going to say, and then they end up saying it. You guys let me know in the comments if I've been wrong about any of that. As far as my understanding, I've been pretty damn spot on. I don't think I've been wrong on an article yet. I guarantee you, I know how leftists write. I guarantee you that they're going to bring up some sort of systemic racism, some sort of past racism on white people, and try to connect it to today. The reason why I guarantee you that's going to happen is because that's the leftist argument. They can't just talk about 2021. They have to attribute it to something in the past to make something today racist, because if they don't, then it doesn't work. Because majority of things today, the vast majority of things today are not even remotely racist. So the only way for that argument to work and to have some sort of assimilation and connection to this stuff is they have to correlate it to the past in some way, shape, or form to connect it to today. And you'd have to be out of your mind to just sit there and go, oh, well, you know, white people walking is internalized racism, and it had something to do with the past because they probably didn't respect black people, and those same people today that nobody around them experienced slavery or segregation or Jim Crow laws have experienced it, but somehow they still have internalized racism because of that. That's probably what they're going to do. Okay, but let's see. Let's just see. Maybe I'm wrong. I haven't been wrong yet, but maybe this is the first one. It says, opinion editor Kenny Allen, Kenny, you need to do a better job at being a journalist, buddy, just saying, wrote the Daily Northwestern article, Are the Sidewalks at Northwestern Too White Too? Which asked if white people walked on sidewalks certain ways because of racism. This is the stuff that they're writing about. And by the way, it's just not on college campuses. You know, you have the high school newspapers as well. They do the same stuff, and it's really mind-boggling to read this stuff. When I first got to Northwestern, I wondered why walking around on campus could be so frustrating, he wrote. Even when sidewalks were relatively empty, I would often have to walk around people to pass without bumping them. Yes, welcome to walking around in public, not just campus. Were you homeschooled? Did you just sit at home? Have you not been to a theme park? Have you not gone to a major city before? That's what people do. It turns out there's people that don't give two bleeps about you, that aren't going to give you the time and space that maybe you want. Welcome to the public. I, on the other hand, am like that, where I look at people and go, hey, I see this guy coming up or this gal coming up towards me. Let me make sure I move to the side a little bit so I give them enough space. And people don't move for me, and I'm a white guy, and I don't necessarily expect them to. It'd be nice for them, but my expectation used to be that way, and it used to get frustrating. Like, why would this person not move? Why can't we just give each other both space? There's clearly enough room on the sidewalk, but you're setting your expectations too high for people. It has nothing to do with racism. It's just other people don't care about other people. Other people are all about me in today's culture, and in the past. It's not just today. So, dude, it has nothing to do with racism. Just go out to a theme park. Walk anywhere. Get out of the house a little bit, man. Experience life a little bit. And I could tell that you haven't, because you're writing crap like this, man. There's a lot better stuff to write about, dude, than you sitting there walking around campus daydreaming going, I wonder why people are walking weird. It must be due to racism. It's like, geez, man, this is the stuff that you're writing. God, and these are the people that go work for MSNBC, CNN, the New York Times, the Washington Post, and then you wonder why they spew the same garbage, and they go work for leftist corporations like Disney, Apple, Google, Amazon, all these places, and you wonder why they're banning conservatives, because they think everything's racist, they think conservatives racist, and it's already ingrained in their own mind. By the way, they become teachers too, and that's why you have the same thing there. At first, he reasoned, I chalked it up to the geographic diversity of the school. Maybe the people that came to this school were used to different ways of moving through a public space. After discussing the problem with his other black friends, Allen said, he concluded that people at this predominantly white school would not move out of the way on the sidewalk. Okay, as a stats teacher, this is already a biased sample, automatically. I teach this literally through what's called sampling bias. And so what he did was he's treating his own group of friends that so happen to be black, and I'd imagine he walked up to them because he thought it was racist, and so he wanted to get their ideas, because they're black, about racism. and said, hey, you know, have you noticed that white people aren't getting out of your guys' way? Do you think that has to do with racism? They're like, yeah, probably. That has to do probably with racism. Yeah, sounds right. So it's a bias sample. And I'll give you an example, a real life example that I give in class to talk about bias and specifically this bias is I say, look, everybody always wants the average class test scores. You guys always go, Mr. Oh, I almost gave my last name. You know, Brad, you know, what's the what's the test scores? And I'll say, look, the average was an 86%, right? So as a whole, we should see roughly people within that frame of 86%. But what a student does, instead of sampling different students throughout the class, is that they just go up to their friends group that were sitting right next to them, which is called convenience sampling, and go, hey, what did you guys get on your test score? And they all failed, right? Because he failed too, and he wanted to get his test. Well, that's one is convenient sampling because it's close. He didn't want to take the time to sample that class and other classes to see if he was in the general population of everybody else. And he also went to his close friends, which tend to carry certain characteristics and traits of that person as well. Say one of those traits, I'm not saying this is the case, but could have been laziness, lack of studying. And so you tend to carry that same trait as your friends of being lazy and lack of studying. Thus, that's the reason you all failed. But the class average was still an 86. So your population, or should I say your sample, to be very specific and correct, was already skewed. It was already biased. And that's exactly what he's doing here. He's going up to a selective group of friends that are African American, that are black people, people of color, and he's asking them if the school is racist because of the way white people walk. So this is already false just right off the beginning, and this is not how you conduct a sample, but this idiot right here is just reporting stuff just willy-nilly, which is his right to do under free speech, but it's also my right to critique it and rip you a new one, look, by saying you have no idea what you're doing, and before you go write crap like this, why don't you make sure that you read a book for once rather than going out and saying that your school's freaking racist because people don't want to move out of your way. But what the hell do I know, right? I'm a white guy. I'm a cis white male. I was going to keep going with it, but why spend the time? Why waste the breath? It goes on to say, pointing to University of Richmond sociologist Belinda Richards' test to determine whether college campuses are racist. Somebody probably paid for this. Somebody paid money for somebody to go out and test something like this. Can you believe it? Oh my God. Okay, let's keep going. Allen concluded that internalized racism is what prompts white people to walk on sidewalks the way that they do in places such as Northwestern University. Allen explained that such conclusions were connected to Jim Crow segregation laws. Oh my God. Spot on. Oh God. I'm telling you, I say it every freaking episode I do one of these op-eds. I'm telling you, they have to connect it to the past because there's no way to make sense of it today. And I get so giddy over it because who doesn't like to be right, folks? Who doesn't? But hey, you know what? We got another one here. And let's see what else they have to point back to in the past here. The social order required black people to yield to white people whenever possible. He wrote, that's kind of like what I was saying. They didn't respect black people. They wouldn't get out of their way. I'm telling you, man, it's just too damn easy. Black people were made to show difference to white people anytime they interacted. One of the ways they were made to do so was by stepping off the sidewalk when a white person was walking past. Forgive me for coughing. The informal rules are passed down through generations just like any other kind of etiquette. So you're just randomly making, I don't want to say randomly, but your study is suggesting that the white people that you surveyed and that you conducted had traced back to Jim Crow, their family specifically traced back to Jim Crow, and their family members were ones that did this, and their family members then carried it on to these children here, probably their grandchildren, and those actions consciously came out into white people walking around campus, forcing black people to ultimately move to the side or not giving them enough space when they walk around. That's what they're saying. You didn't conduct that type of study. I guarantee you, you didn't create an experimental design study that would have done this. I guarantee you, because you don't have that kind of money to do it, nor do you have that kind of time. Or if you did it, it's a very small sample. I guarantee you, whoever did the study did not conduct a study that went around to Northwestern white students, talked to their parents, and their parents talked to their parents and said, hey, did you do this when you were blah, blah, blah age during Jim Crow's segregation laws? or their parents, did you do this during segregation laws? Do you not give black people enough space? Do you actively walk like this on campus? Oh, you did? Did you carry that trait onto your children? Do your children do the same thing and consciously make that decision, or even unconsciously make that decision? I guarantee you they did not do this type of study because they don't want to put in the time. The left don't want to put in the time. They just think things are racist, and so now they're coming out with some sort of outlandish ass excuse to say that white people are racist and it's somehow connected to Jim Crow, and that they're doing it either consciously or unconsciously based on some sort of racism from the past. Unbelievable. White people came to expect the right of way in public spaces, he continued. White people were accustomed to moving through the world like that, intentionally or not, taught their kids to move through the world in the same way. And the racism that undergirded Jim Crow was eliminated just because the laws were no longer overtly racist. Allen concluded that this is the very practice that ought to be prompted, or to prompt people to become more serious about uprooting white supremacy. Many white people walk around campus having unknowingly absorbed this particular facet of white supremacy, and the leaders of the institution do little to make us believe that white supremacy is something worth challenging in the first place, he insisted. Uprooting that white supremacy requires both recognizing its scale and disrupting it however it shows up, he added, even if it shows up on the sidewalk next to you. Now, say if a white person walked past anybody and you went up and surveyed that person and said, hey, why, did you not give that person enough space because you think that they're less than you, or you're racist? And that person goes, no, I just don't give a shit. They would still be considered racist. That's the thinking of the left. There's no way out of this. Even if you're not racist, you're doing it unintentionally, right? You're doing it unconsciously. Some sort of your actions is coming out unconsciously, and that's ultimately attributing to you being racist. So thus you're racist because you walk on the sidewalk funny, or you don't give a crap about other people and you don't care about their space, and so still you're racist in some way. So you're in a catch-22 here, and this is the left's argument. No matter what you do as a white person, you're just considered racist. Anything they can about your life, they will find something in your life that you do, and they'll say, oh, you do it unconsciously. Somehow that trait was just, that characteristic was just passed down to you, and you just didn't know it. And your parents are racist too, by the way, and so are your grandparents. So everybody in your family is racist because you walk on sidewalks. And you know what? You're also white supremacist too because you walk on sidewalks funny. And, we'll look something else. You carry milk in your fridge, you're racist too because of that. You wear a red hat, sure, you're racist. Are you a bald guy? Yeah, you're racist because you're a skinhead, and that's what white supremacists do. They shave their heads. It's just all this crap. It's just a bunch of nonsense. But hey, look, there are college kids that are growing up like this, and so this stuff's not going to stop anytime soon. It's just going to get worse. You have stuff like the 1619 Project that are being taught in schools. In government classes, you're being taught that socialism is good, forms of communism. I mean, there's not really forms of communism. It just is communism, but I'm just explaining it the way that some teachers explain it. There is a form of communism that is good as well. Capitalism is bad. America is inherently racist, according to the critical race theory that's being pushed into classes. So you guys, this is not going away. You're looking at another 10, 20 years of this stuff at least, because it's continually being promulgated in the education system because the left run the show. And so you're basically going to have an entire generation. I'm not saying everybody, but you're going to have a big generation here of leftists that are growing up that think America's inherently racist. You have a revisionist history that's being taught in the classroom left and right. And you're taking this from a teacher, by the way. I'm telling you that it's happening. People don't want to believe me that's happening. They still don't want to ask their kids if it's happening. They don't want to ask their kids what they're being taught in the classroom. Show me your textbook. Show me your homework. Let's read this together. You have to take initiative in your kids' education, you guys. I don't mean to be stern on this. No, I do mean to be stern on this. You need to take initiative in your kids' education. You can't just assume that every teacher is a good teacher, every teacher cares, or every teacher teaches. Look, there's students that tell their parents that I don't teach in the classroom, which is astonishing to me because there's actually videos of me teaching, right? So all I'm saying is take your child's education seriously. Sit down at the coffee table with them. I know that you don't want to do that because you freaking just got done working 8-10 hour days. You got to cook food. You got to clean the house. You got to do a ton of crap. I fully get it. But look, that's our responsibility as parents. We have to sit down with our children and make sure they're raised correctly, or else if you don't take that time, they're going to turn into one of these kids that go to Northwestern University and write idiotic crap and conduct a sample and don't have a clue what they're talking about. Then have somebody else conduct another survey or experiment that they're doing, and then coming up with outlandish crap saying that, oh, these people are racist because of Jim Crow and they have characteristics that are passed down. I have no clue how I came to that conclusion, nor do I have the evidence. but I'm just going to say it's white supremacy and racism. It's like, come on, man. Come on, man. Come on, man. I love that Joe Biden does it because then I can mock him every time. It's perfect. Speaking of Joe Biden and the Biden administration, we actually got some good news here. We're flip-flopping left and right. So as you know, I said constantly I'll keep you updated on what's going on at the U.S.-Mexico border here. I've already given you all the stats, guys. If you want to know everything about what's going on at the U.S.-Mexico border, watch all my past videos. But right here, we have an article written by Ryan Saavedra. This also comes from the Daily Wire. It is titled, Biden Administration Restarts Border Wall Construction. And it shows you how wish-washy they are on crap. It was just last week they stopped the border wall construction, the military construction of the border wall. So he goes into office. He stops the border wall construction. He gets rid of Trump's policies. He creates an entire border crisis, creates just shits everywhere, basically. And then he stops the border wall construction for the military aspect side of it because Trump pushed about $15 billion or something like that, or maybe $15 million. I forgot the amount at this point. So much money just being spent left and right by the government. But he set money aside for the military to do the construction of the border wall. Biden stopped that last week. And now he's like, hey, Jen, what's going on with the border? Are people immigrating here? What's happening? You know, still trying to figure out if he's president. Still trying to figure out how to tie his shoes. By the way, is his shoes Velcro? Can you imagine his Velcro business shoes? Just one big old strap that goes across. God. You know what? I would want a pair. I'd wear Velcro business shoes if I could. I don't want to sit there and tie them every time. Just a nice little slip in. I mean, I guess I could wear loafers, but hey, you know, I wouldn't blame him for it. Just putting around the White House in freaking Velcro shoes. Democrat President Joe Biden has reversed course after halting construction of former President Donald Trump's border wall. Man, whenever I talk about Trump, I miss the man. Don't you? I don't really miss the tweets so much, just a little bit, but I miss him. The guy just had stuff under control. You know, you don't have taxes going through the roof. You know, you have the construction of the border wall. You had immigration handled. You didn't have pipelines running out of freaking gas. You didn't have Israel and Hamas launching rockets at one another. You actually had peace deals going across the entire Middle East. You had a president that was conscious, that was a sentient human being. But you look at Joe Biden, not any of those things. Increasing taxes, the economy's going to crap. Inflation is probably going to hit 3.6%. You're trying to increase taxes. The purchasing power of the buyer is just not there as it was 4 years ago. You have a massive immigration crisis that's happened at the U.S.-Mexico border. The Middle East is launching freaking rockets at each other. And it's only been 100 days of office, guys. Not a big deal. No, he has it totally under control. You didn't see shit like this when Trump was in office. Trump handled stuff. Whether you didn't like the way he communicated, the man handled stuff. Where you have the total reversal. You have Joe Biden that's reading off a teleprompter and is still getting confused. .gov, doesn't know his wife's name, literally calls her Joe, right? He doesn't know Jill's name at times. He doesn't know his own Secretary General's name. Guys, this stuff is on teleprompter. You just have to read it. You have to look at it. And just read it. God, I would love a teleprompter. My whole thing's scripted. Can you believe how quickly I could do the show and how much stuff content I can get through? But you can't read a teleprompter. You can't read it. It's just sitting there for him. But, you know, what do I know? Joe Biden, poor man. It says Fox News has confirmed via the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers that construction of a 13.4-mile stretch of border wall in the Rio Grande Valley will resume after pressure from local residents and politicians, Fox News correspondent wrote. The Biden admin previously halted all wall construction in January. Department of Homeland Security said during a conversation with ICE employees last month that the administration was considering finishing gaps in the wall. Yeah, sounds like a good idea when you have about 2 million people estimated to come in the freaking country. A report by CNN last month said that the U.S. is on track to see 2 million migrants. Okay, well, there you have it. On the southern border this year, which is more than the populations of Wyoming, Vermont, and Alaska combined. U.S. Customs and Border Protection data published Tuesday show that immigration arrests and detentions on the U.S.-Mexico border shot up in April to 178,000 people, a 3% increase from March, meaning they had an increase, folks. I think in March it was, what, 170,000 or something like that, illegal immigrants, and this month you had 178,000 people. There's no crisis, guys. This isn't even it's not a problem at all. What's the issue? You just have more people coming to this country by the end of the year than the population of 3 of our states. In a year, you times that by how many states are going to be absorbed by illegal people that aren't supposed to be here that are possibly voting. They're definitely receiving checks by the government, by the way. That's a real thing. Illegal immigrants are receiving taxpayer money. By the state of California, I believe they're going to receive $600. So, and even if that's not true, they're still receiving money from the government. Okay, so our taxpayer dollars are not going to our vets. It's not trying to go to building our infrastructure. It's not going towards bettering American citizens. It's going towards those that don't even pay into the system, don't pay taxes, that aren't even here legally. But, you know, that's how Democrats run the show. Again, they won't admit it. They treat other people better than their own people. There should not be a veteran that's lying on the damn street homeless without being taken care of. If the man had the courage to serve our damn country, he's worth all the money to go and support that man or woman and try to help them out. Look, if they're mentally unstable, then get them somewhere, get that medical help. They need help. Okay, we need to help our veterans. We need to stop helping other people first. And that's what Trump did. America first. It's so frustrating. I'm keeping it together because it really does piss me off. I do not want to see veterans. I don't want to see law enforcement. I don't want to see Americans, whether you're Democrat, left, right. I want to see you come first, not somebody else. It doesn't mean I don't like these people. It doesn't mean that I don't want these people to have a better life. I'm worried about our own people before. Okay? They're American citizens and America first. Everybody else, you need to take care of your own countries, your own citizens. We'll try to help out when money's left over, and we can. We need to stop babying other countries. We need to stop helping other countries all the time. We need to get our own ish under control here, and then we can fix stuff. Look, there's not gonna be money later on to help all these other countries, and they don't get that crap. There's not going to be money. I can't be clear, but I'm getting upset again. I'm getting a little upset. No, but in all seriousness, there isn't going to be any money, guys. There's not going to be enough money because our interest is going to be so high that the money accumulated is going to just go towards the interest and not paying down the principal on this thing. So it's God, we are digging. We always talk about climate change. We always talk about how it's going to destroy the world, our country, blah, 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 racism, the right. All this stuff's going to destroy our country. No, leftist ideology is going to destroy our country and our own debt because we don't know. We have Congress and a bunch of knuckleheads that are running the purse of the country that don't have a clue on spending. That goes for every damn president that spends, including Trump. Okay, I know we're all Trump supporters here, and you can't tell me with a straight face that him spending is a conservative ideology, is a conservative thought, and then we support that. We're fiscal conservatives. A lot of us are that watch this show, and you know damn well that's not something Trump should have been doing. You know damn well, and we're all in that together. So I'm not going to, just because I'm for somebody, I'm not emboldened to Trump. I'm not emboldened to DeSantis. I'm not emboldened to the Republican Party. I don't sit there and have to treat them like gods. You do something I don't like, you do something stupid, you deserve to be called out on it. Just like me. I look at my tapes and go, that was a really stupid thing to do all the time, by the way. Even if you guys think a show's good, like Rick, for example, says, man, show's perfect. Look, there's a lot of mistakes I made. There's a lot of things that I probably said that I shouldn't have said that might have been incorrect. You know, again, this is just coming off the top of my head. You guys talk for an hour or whatever. I'm sure you're going to slip up every now and then and say something because you're trying to just think off the cuff, keep things rolling, keep people entertained at the same time. It's not as easy as you might think, especially as somebody that's new doing this. It's actually pretty hard, but hopefully I get better at it at times. But it goes on here to say the media tried to spin the news a bit of a win of the Biden administration because the surge in arrests of illegal aliens was driven in large part by single adults while the number of unaccompanied minors apprehended fell. Former Trump administration officials and immigration officials, however, were not falling for the spin and instead slammed the extremely high number as being disastrous for the country. Absolutely right. We saw Jen Psaki, and I reported on it, spin the statistics on it. And I said, look, this is another way for them to lie to the American people. And not only did they spin the statistics on it, but she also blamed the Trump administration for the immigration issue, which is truly mind-blowing because you were ripping Trump a new one for getting immigration under control, saying he was racist by not allowing people to come into the country illegally. So you were ripping him at one point for doing what he's doing by halting the border, construction of the border wall, stopping illegal immigration happening, but now you're going to blame him for the surge in immigration. Do you see how this works? And the thing is that we're all catching on to this, right? Now people are starting to wake up because they're constantly shifting back and forth, and that's all conservatives are doing now. That's what I do. That's what Ben Shapiro does. That's what the Daily Wire does. That's what all conservatives do, is just show the hypocrisy of the left constantly. That's all our shows. That's all I do on here, is just show out their flaws. This is what they did in the past. This is what they're doing now. This is what they bitched about in the past. The same thing they bitched about in the past, they're doing now, and you know, blah, blah, blah. So the same things they call the conservatives racist, they're doing racist. You know, Trump was racist for stopping people from coming in the country during the coronavirus. You got Biden stopping people coming in from India, but he's not racist. You know, there's nothing wrong with him because he wears cool aviators and doesn't know his name. But that's the Democrats for you, and that's just the country that we live in now, which is sad. From day one, the Biden administration has pursued policies that have fueled this crisis, despite receiving dozens of briefings during the transition from myself and other professionals at the Department of Homeland Security, warning them of the consequences of doing so. This is the former acting DHS secretary. The administration has reversed sound reversed sound immigration policies like the migrant protection protocols, asylum cooperative agreements with Northern Triangle countries, and construction of the border wall system. The actions will continue to have immense costs, not just for our law enforcement, but for working Americans in our communities as well. Until this administration applies a consequence for coming here illegally, these numbers are going to remain at a crisis level. And that's just basic common sense. I know that we always hear people say, it's common sense, man. Come on, man. Gun control. It's common sense. All these things are common sense. It really is, though. If you don't give your kid consequences for doing something wrong, the kid's going to turn into a little jerk. And you know that, and you're going to have to deal with that. And we see parents like that in the grocery stores that don't, spank their kids or tell their kids, hey, stop doing that, putting them in timeout, meaning consequences. And if you don't do that, you're going to have other chaos. And now you got a little jerk running around this country writing op-eds saying that white people walking on sidewalks is racists. And that's how the kid's going to grow up, because they didn't have any consequences. Nobody told them that, hey, America's not racist. Nobody told them all these things. So now this kid's walking around clueless, and then you get people like Joe Biden doing the same thing Joe Biden, a little different reason. Is cognitively declining, unfortunately. But you have to have consequences for people doing something they shouldn't be doing. You have Ron DeSantis now saying, look, Antifa, you come in here, be ready for some prison time. Get ready for some jail time. If you're going to riot in our country, or in our state, I should say, of Florida, you're going to go to jail. If you're going to destroy public and private property, if you're going to harm human beings, you're going to go to jail. There's consequences. You know what? You're going to try it and do it, fine. You get to go to jail. That's your prerogative. That's what you want to do. Sit down in a nice little prison cell for a long, eat a nice little deli sandwich, a little potato salad. And you know what? You could be fine doing that. And I'm more than happy to pay tax dollars for you to sit in a jail cell and probably not get a job after, because nobody wants to hire a criminal. But Ron DeSantis isn't going to put up with it, and we shouldn't put up with this on a federal level. But again, you have Joe Biden that cares more about other people than he cares about his own citizens in his own country. But at least maybe he's waking up, or at least somebody in his administration is waking up, because it says Biden administration restarts border wall. It doesn't say Joe Biden. Biden's not coming out, at least from what I've seen. I haven't seen video of it. Been very busy. Maybe Joe Biden said, hey, look at me. I'm starting. Well, what we're looking to do is increase education prices. No, Joe, the question was about border wall, Joe. Yeah, we had the CIA woke. Disney's stock prices are going up, and I think that's good for the country. No, Mr. President, the question's about the border wall. Were you the one that had the idea of starting the construction of the border wall, or was that somebody else in your administration? It was partially my idea, and then what we had was, I was talking about Netanyahu, the Prime Minister of Israel, and things are just really bad right now in Georgia, and the heat is just tremendous. No, Mr. President, oh, for the love of God, forget it. Yeah, sure. That's how he answers questions. He goes off on random tangents, but who knows? Maybe Joe Biden was the one that came up with this and restarted the border construction wall, and if he did, kudos to him. I couldn't be more happy that they're finally waking up and solving the issue here. And look, it's not hard, and hopefully people are getting the message over time, which they're clearly not right now, right? They're literally not getting the message because you had a 3% increase in April. But hey, hopefully this at least sends some sort of message here, and you need to start dealing with this on a better level. But hey, props to the Biden administration. Let's give them a round of applause on our end, huh? Finally doing something right. I'm liking this. So like I said, I'm not out there always just to attack Joe Biden. When he does something good, we got to give him a round of applause. When he does something bad, we're going to whack him upside the head, just like we do with Trump. But there we have it. We have the Colonial pipeline getting restarted. So all you on the East Coast, man, ABL, if you're watching the show, you're going to be taken care of, brother. We got Northwestern University journalists saying white people walking on the street or sidewalk is racist. And then the Biden administration, rightfully so, restarts border wall construction. You got to love it. Thank you so much, everyone. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to support us by hitting the like button and also the subscribe button. We are growing exponentially here. We should hit 2,000 subscribers by the end of this month, or at least that's the goal. So help us with that by sending this video and the YouTube channel out to your friends and family. Post it on Reddit, post it on Twitter, send it out to major conservatives. Say, hey, have you heard this guy? Have you checked this guy out? I need your help advertising. That would really help my channel. And, you know, I'm not asking for money, just a quick copy and paste in the Twitter and say, hey, you know, send it to Candace Owens, send it to Ben Shapiro, send it to everybody, ABL, the Hodge twins, Steven Crowder, Fox News. Say, hey, have you checked out this new conservative? Create a buzz for our channel. We got enough people now. We got almost 2,000 people in the channel, I think 1,500. We got enough people to sit there and really have a massive effect on things now. All you need is 1,000 people statistically to really have a driving force in a community, and especially a community of conservatives. So if you guys send my channel out there on Facebook, Twitter, again, I almost said YouTube, but you can't copy and paste. But you know what I mean. All over social media, I need your help, and you could support me that way if you want to support a conservative and get conservative thought out there. And look, there is breaking news. I don't know if you guys heard, but another strike on Steven Crowder on YouTube. So I need your help on getting another YouTube channel up and running, meaning mine, so that we could sit there and get Steven Crowder's voice out there. I read all his articles, and I could sit there at least help get his voice out. And heck, I would love to have him on the show as well. Not that he would maybe come on a small channel like mine, but if you guys help me promote my show on his channel, on his Twitter feed, and say, hey, talk to Bald Brad, have Bald Brad on your show, guys, we can grow, but it all relies on you. Basically, I'm really asking for your help to help grow this channel, and I will try to do everything on my end as well. But with that being said, thank you so much for just giving me your time and your patience, and I'll see you here tomorrow on the Bald Brad Show.